Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jeff Magnuson. In today's episode, I want to talk about feeling stuck. I've gotten this question a couple of times over the last few weeks. It's a really important topic, and it applies to all age levels. So whether you are in high school trying to figure it out, whether you are a recent college graduate, whether you are somebody who's been working for 40 years, it doesn't matter. The idea of changing or trying to find something new can feel daunting and overwhelming. What I want to go through now are the feelings behind feeling stuck and why it's okay, and then obviously practical steps to help you get unstuck and get clarity around what you can do to move your career forward. Number one, feeling stuck or being stuck is normal and it's healthy. The opposite of that are people who get complacent, who stay with their jobs because they're afraid to change, or they don't want to change, or they don't want to disrupt their flow. That is dangerous because when you're working for an organization, they can let you go sometimes without any notice. And then you have to very quickly try to figure out what it is you want to do, and you're under a lot more pressure to do it quickly. But if you're feeling stuck and you're either at a job that you don't really like, or you're a graduate and you still haven't found a first position yet, that's okay. What you want to be very careful about is to keep your emotions in check. You don't want the idea of feeling stuck to make you feel less worthy or lose your confidence. Because I've been there before, and I know that when you're trying to do something else, you're unhappy in your job, or you just feel like you're lost, and everybody else has it figured out. And I can tell you firsthand that many people don't have it all figured out, are also stuck or unhappy, but don't talk about it. But what's even more important than that is to forget what other people may think. You are entitled to change your career. You're entitled to be confused about what you want to do. It's okay. My work history started on Wall Street. I was a Wall Street trader assistant, then a trader for a little while. Then I worked in operations at a bank on Wall Street. And then I had enough of it. And I went back to business school and I switched to marketing. So many people already had it figured out that they wanted to do marketing, and they were all set and they knew their stories and they had interview prepped and everything else. And I was way behind my classmates. And I could have let it sidetrack me and just kind of go back to Wall Street because that would have been the quote easier path, but I didn't. I forged ahead and it took me a little bit longer, but you know what? In the end, it was worth it because I was doing what I wanted to do. And then when I left marketing to do career coaching, obviously it started off slowly. I had 0 clients. I built what I'm doing now from scratch. That's scary. But you just have to trust in yourself, listen to your gut, and take steps, small steps, practical steps, which we'll get to where you want to go. And it will happen. You just have to be persistent and you have to be patient. Both of those things are well within your control. What's also nice about feeling stuck and not really sure about what you want to do is that it gives you a chance to be excited because you can start over. You have tons of options that you can pursue. What you need to do is kind of hone down the list to figure out which ones get you the most excited. Which ones can you go after? So how do you do that? Well, the good news is in 2021, the year we're in right now, there is no shortage of information available to you online about any single topic. That includes job searching. So what you want to do first is use the job boards like Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, and so on. Don't worry about location yet. Don't worry about salary yet. Just type in some keywords to those search engines and start reading job descriptions. See what resonates with you, even if it's just a bullet point or two within a job description. See if there's anything that resonates with you. And if so, write it down. If you have like a micro physical reaction, something that you're like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, write it down because you're not going to remember it. And conversely, if you read something where You're like, oh, God, no, I don't want to do that. Great, write it down on the other side of the paper. And over time, you're going to start to see a picture of things that interest you. It's a great place to start because that information is widely available for free. So then you want to look for what are different job descriptions that encapsulate those things that interest you. It'll start to become clear as you go through this exercise, so just be patient. But once you start to understand what the roles are called, what those job titles are called, because they may vary from industry to industry or company to company, start writing them down. And then what you want to do is go on to LinkedIn and search who is doing those jobs in the industries and or the companies that you are interested in. And you connect with them. If you have to send 10 or 15 connection requests a day, do it. All you want to do is reach out, quickly introduce yourself, and just ask them if they'd be willing to speak with you for 10 or 15 minutes so you can ask them some questions about their job. That's it. You're not asking them to do you a favor. You're not asking them to connect you to anybody. You're not asking them if you can send them your resume. None of that. You just want to understand more about the role that you think you're interested in. Because job descriptions are one thing. Some of them are written well, some of them are not written well. But regardless, there's a lot of missing information in job descriptions that a human will give to you, especially one who's been doing it for a little while. And you never know where one conversation can lead. Go in with zero expectations. Hopefully they are willing to give you their time. A lot of people out there are. They just need to be asked. But you're not going in with any expectations that they're going to offer to take your resume or connect you with somebody else. It may happen, but don't go in with the expectation. Just go in with a set of questions to help you learn more about these roles. So once you find a role or two that interests you, and that may take several weeks, so I'm jumping ahead, but I do recognize that first step is a giant step. Then what you want to do in terms of your next step in your career, you want to take it a step further beyond just the job itself. And you want to think about what type of people do you want to work with? Okay, what type of personalities do you get along with best? You may have to make some concessions if you're interviewing where you're not sure if they're all introverts like you or if they're vice versa, they're more introverted and you're more extroverted. You may have to just adjust your style based on the different positions that come up. But nevertheless, it's okay to take the time to understand more about what you want from a more well-rounded perspective. The next thing is environment. So during COVID, which we're still in the middle of here, there are a lot of people working remotely, and eventually companies will start bringing some people back, and there's going to be all sorts of combinations of how that's going to work. What are you looking for, or does it not matter? Okay, that's important. Everybody's different. What about geography? Like if you do have to go back, even part-time into an office, are you willing to relocate to make that happen? What about salary? Do you have a minimum? Obviously, I've talked at length in other episodes about salary and how you want to make sure you're paid fairly, but you also recognize that switching roles and doing something perhaps a little bit different has a tremendous amount of value too. But what are your salary requirements? Everybody is different. Is the role going to be fulfilling? Is it a company that produces something that you believe in? Or is it something where maybe you don't believe in it? Like, for example, I interviewed with a cigarette company back in business school, and I would have taken the internship, but I never would have worked there full time because I just don't believe in those products at all. You have your own feelings about different products and so on. Just something to consider. What about the skills that you really want to either use or improve upon? Will this new job or this new potential job allow you to grow in that way? All of those things can go into your decision making after you get some clarity about your next step. Obviously, and you will weight all of those differently. So I'm not trying to make it harder or to narrow it so much that the job search becomes nearly impossible. But it's important to, again, to understand what makes you tick and what excites you. What are you looking for beyond just the job itself? And once you have clarity on your next steps and you're excited and motivated to try to get into a company or an industry in this role, then you're going to update your resume accordingly, your LinkedIn profile. You're going to start writing cover letters, and there's other episodes that you can listen to on this podcast that will go into that. I'm not going to repeat it during this episode, but it's a step-by-step process. And if you're feeling stuck, you're basically starting at square one, which is totally fine, but don't get ahead of yourself and be methodical to slowly get yourself unstuck and then excited and then confident as you look for the next role in your career. And that's it for this episode. If you have questions on this or anything else, feedback on the show, please just drop me a line on my website, jeffmagnusonconsulting.com, and I'll see you at the next episode.